Hello, everyone. We are here at Relief Parenting Respite and Resource Center. I'm Krista Malte.
I'm Jessica Holt.
And this is Long Distance Relief, our first online session for families.
Yeah.
So we are here today just wanting to introduce ourselves and bring a bit of relief to you, wherever you might be. If you are just down the road with your newborn and you can't make it out of the house yet, or if you're at the office and you're working parent and you just want some place to connect and kind of share what's going on in your life and feel like you're connected with other parents, or if you are just far away somewhere, perhaps across the country or in some other part of the world. So, well, where should we start?
Well, let's talk about who we are and why you should even bother asking us questions. I'm Jessica Holt. I am a postpartum doula here at Relief Doula Agency, which is part of Relief Parenting. I'm also a certified lactation counselor, which is very helpful.
Very helpful.
So part of what postpartum doulas do is give parenting advice and help give evidence-based, well-researched answers to your questions. So Krista, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Krista Malte. I'm the owner of Relief Parenting Respite and Resource Center. I'm also an advanced doula with Dona International, and I'm a postpartum doula trainer as well. And I'm an advanced lactation counselor. I also have a background in family studies. I got my bachelor's degree from the University of New Hampshire. And so I've always kind of been a parenting, family, babies geek. And, coming up with Relief was really just like my third child. Is something that I really felt compelled to do because of seeing so many different families over the years just really struggling with the same types of topics, right? Everybody's stressed out. Everybody's tired. Everybody's just in a place of now what? I'm just trying to go through my day to day and do the best I can for my kids. And so then when I had my own children, I felt like, gosh, if I'm this educated and I'm this connected with resources and I'm struggling so much, there's got to be a better way for things. So so I created Relief, and I'm really excited to be able to bring all of the different resources together from all of our communities and to be able to share.
I think a big part of why we want to do long distance relief is because in being here at the center, we hear a lot from people that say, oh, I really want to do that, but I'm really busy, or I can't get out of the house, or my kids are going in 3 different directions and I can't do something for myself. So we want to bring a little bit of the center to you guys, and you may not be able to do yoga with us, but that's okay. We can still be here for you. And if you're rewatching this while breastfeeding at 2 a.m, feel free to still comment and ask questions, because next week we're going to do Facebook Live again, and hopefully every Wednesday from 12 to 1. That's our goal. So if you have questions and it's after the live is over, please still put them in the comments. Or if you want to ask an anonymous question, just send us a private message on the Relief Facebook page.
We also just want to let you know that we are going to be kind of introducing you to a number of different people in the community. So even though you might not be able to be here and really experience the one-on-one with the different practitioners that are available, you'll definitely be able to get to know who these people are and why they're different resources. And so over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be sharing some of the information from our pelvic floor physical therapist, or from our massage therapist, from someone who practices Reiki, from just anybody who really you want to get to know as well. So we are wanting to do as much as we can. So why don't we learn a little bit about who is watching today. If you are here and you're watching us right now, maybe if you want to just give a little comment about who are you, and maybe where you're coming from, or how old your kids are. And even if they're grown-up kids, that's okay too, because we are here for everyone from pregnancy through empty nesters. Everybody's just coming from a different stage of life. So if you wanted to share and comment, we would love to kind of know a bit more about you.
Yeah. And please ask questions. Feel free to join in the conversation and let us know what you want to hear about, because that's ultimately why we're here. We have a lot of topics to talk about, and we could talk all day, and often do. But we want to talk about things you want to hear about and answer questions that you actually have. So you need to help us do that. Give us your questions.
So we have some people kind of coming in. I'm going to sneak a little closer so I can read.
And bear with us. This is our first time. We did not practice doing a Facebook Live because, we're busy working moms and we don't practice things. We just wing it like everybody else. So
all the time. So we also have hiding behind us, and you can't see her right now, is one of our lovely interns from UNH. She is one of our family studies majors here. And so she will be kind of able to also share with us kind of who the comments are coming from, or if there are any questions coming in, so we can make sure that we're addressing without getting too close to the camera, because that would be scary for all of us.
Why don't you tell them about your kids and their ages, and I'll do the same, and we'll get the ball rolling with us.
That sounds like a plan. So as I said, I've been working with families for, I started working as a postpartum doula right out of college, so back in 2006, and I had been working with different postpartum families for about 7 or 8 years before I had my first. And so my first son is Hunter, and he is 5.5 years old, and he was, like so many firstborns, a really great learning experience, and still continues to be. So
Such a nice way to put that.
It is. I think for all new families, it doesn't matter, if you've worked with kids or not, if you are a professional, if you're a doctor, or if you are a child care worker, or whoever you are, your firstborn really pushes your limits. And so I was exhausted, and I was just really struggling. And I talked about that to, different podcasts and different, outlets. But I've learned so much from him and about myself and what my biggest priorities are. And some of the challenges that I really faced with him were really just, again, figuring out that transition. You think you always have these expectations about what kind of a parent you want to be, or what parenting is going to be like. And then you're in it and you're exhausted. And it's the kind of exhausted that until you've experienced it, you just cannot fathom how tired you are. Anybody want to shout out, you're not the only one? Maybe throw an emoji of, I'm really tired. And I get that, because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who's ever been a tired
person. Or that angry face when you have that young person, no offense to the girl behind the camera, but when the young people without kids are like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm like, you don't even know what tired is. I just want you to understand. You have no idea what tired is.
Yeah. No. So that being so tired was really a huge driving force for me about, oh my gosh, there's gotta be a better way for things. So I got to a point of being really frustrated that there's nothing out there in society. And I was like, God, how do people do this with multiple kids? And then I had my second, and I was really, really sick in my pregnancy. I was sick with my first. I was that much more sick with my second, debilitatingly crawling from the bed to the couch kind of sick. It was not so fun for me. Little puke emoji, insert there. And then just trying to figure out, again, the dynamics all over. So even though I had made that transition into parenthood, and I felt really much more comfortable about who I am and what are my priorities and different roles and all of that. And as you know, for anybody who's had more than one child, just the dynamic shift really changes. And how do you manage a toddler's behavior while you're also trying to manage a newborn, while you're also trying to go to the bathroom and take care of yourself and maybe get a shower in if you're lucky. And then that priority of sleep, even though you're that much more exhausted, it obviously just becomes lower and lower and lower on what's actually achievable. So
when you're so tired you can't even put dry shampoo in, you're just like, I don't care. No, I'm done.
Yeah. So that's kind of my story. I've got two little guys. It's my very long roundabout story, I suppose, my two little guys. And they continue to really just push me and teach me different things. So my little guy now is 2.5, definitely in toddler phase where, I do it myself. And which is great to see that independence emerging, but also really, as you may imagine, challenging. So about how do you, again, navigate all those dynamics. So I've got two little ones, and my husband who works down in Boston. So he does 4 very long days down in Boston. So I'm really excited that he gets to be home one of those extra days each week. And it's been a game changer for our family. But for those 4 days, it's essentially he's gone by 6 o'clock in the morning, and he doesn't typically get back until after the kids are asleep. So he's maybe coming home around 8-ish, maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock, depending on what bus he catches from Boston. So those days I really
But he's full of pep, right?
Oh,
he's like
so
ready
full
to
of pep and
have a little date with you, and yeah.
So that's kind of what's going on at my house, and what is our general makeup in life like.
That's your deal.
That's my deal.
That's your deal.
That's my thing. So how about you? Tell us about your kids.
So I have one. I stopped at one. My husband and I always only wanted one.
One and done.
One and done, and we love being one and done. Personally, it's our favorite. We had our son 4.5 years ago, and I was also super sick during my pregnancy, throwing up for 15 weeks. Yeah, it was. Everyone knew I was pregnant immediately because I was just green and puking all the time. There was no hiding that. I was just, they were like, oh, we know what's going on. I was like, yeah. That's
my mom knew that I was pregnant when I threw up in an umbrella, one of those like rain umbrella bags. I threw up into that in the car, and she's like, I'm pretty sure you're pregnant. And I was wanting to surprise her, and I was like, no, I'm not.
So I actually started throwing up before my pregnancy test came back positive. I was, it was like 8 days after conception, I threw up for the first time, and I took a pregnancy test the next morning, and it was negative. I was like, yeah, but I'm pregnant. So that's fun. And then I was so excited. I mean, we got pregnant right away. I had been already taking prenatals. I was all excited. I was already reading books. I consumed every bit of literature on pregnancy and birth. And I was so excited for my natural birth and all of these things. And I was so prepared for birth. And I had a breech baby, which means I had a cesarean, which was exactly the opposite of what I wanted. And that threw me into a spiral of a really tough postpartum period, which I did not consume all the information on. I thought, I have really good instincts. I love children. I'm very nurturing. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I got this. I did not have it at all. That combined with recovery from a cesarean, the exhaustion of having a newborn. We were just kind of out there on an island, and we didn't have the resources that I have now. Knowing all the people that I know now, I would have been fine.
That's where that teaching part comes in, right? Anybody else with a hands up emoji or something about yeah, my experience wasn't what I anticipated it being.
Yeah,
because
I think I was maybe 8 or 10 weeks postpartum when I saw on Facebook there was a mocktail event for, I think it was for breastfeeding mothers or whatever, but that's where I met Krista, at this mocktail event. And I was so proud of myself because we had a lot of trouble with latch. It took my son probably, maybe only 5 weeks, but it took my son 3 weeks to learn how to latch, which was another big blow to my ego because I was like, we are breastfeeding. And after having a cesarean, I was even more dedicated to, okay, we're going to breastfeed no matter what. The birth didn't go my way, but this is happening. So in hindsight, it would have been good if I had talked to a lactation counselor besides the ones at the hospital, but I didn't. And I think a little bit of that was pride, and a little bit of that was just being tired and being frustrated and not knowing where to go. And so I met Krista, and I met a bunch of other really awesome ladies that night. And it really gave me a lot of hope that I was on the right track. And he did learn how to breastfeed, and he was breastfed for 2 years. And he's a super healthy kid.
Yeah.
Guess what? He almost never gets sick.
Oh, super helpful, especially as they get into that toddler phase.
Yeah,
right?
for preschool, which he's in right now, started again yesterday.
My
Anybody
oldest
else?
just started kindergarten today, so
Oh,
I
first day
know, first day of kindergarten, first day
Yes.
Facebook Live, first day kindergarten. It's a big day for
Everybody's
multi-family.
growing.
Yes.
So, postpartum, didn't know what I was doing. My husband and I were clueless, doing the best we could, just trying to make it through the days and still love each other. Because it can be easy when there's only one other person around to point the finger at them. And we had what would be considered an easy baby who slept a lot and was generally in a good mood. But even easy babies are hard babies. There's no real easy baby. So then after meeting Krista and learning about what a postpartum doula is, I was like, it's really interesting to me. And as I kind of came out of the postpartum fog and started to become myself again, I was like, you know what? I really think there's a better way to do this. And I don't want people to go through what I went through postpartum. And I think I can be that person for somebody else to really help. I think I'm a natural teacher. It's something that I just do. I think it's something I just am. And so kind of being that guide for other parents was a really intriguing idea for me. So I went to a workshop, and I am this close to sending in my certification packet,
which is very exciting.
But I've been working with families and it has been amazing. It's my favorite thing. I'm such a nerd about it. I like leave every day when I work with family. I'm like, oh, so
we do
awesome.
a little happy dance. So that's the thing. Like when you see those like little gifts or those little memes and stuff where it's like, oh, when you go and support a local business, somebody actually does a happy dance. Yeah, we really do happy dances all the time. And we
love helping you guys.
We really do. And that's why like this is really fun for us, is because we want to connect with you. And it gives us such great joy to be able to say that we've made those connections, and it's really that's the best feeling for us, is to just know that we've made some kind of a tangible difference. And you hit on,
and even if it's not us that you need, and we can find you the resource that you do need, please ask those questions too. So even if it's not a postpartum doula, but it's something else that you're looking for and you think we might have the answer for you, reach out to us, because even if we don't know, we can probably find it.
That's the whole point of being a resource center, is to know kind of where to point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Seems like we might have a question coming in. So
we have a few comments. One person was wondering what they could get out of being a stay-at-home mom and what relief would bring to a stay-at-home mom. And the other is any tips for an overactive letdown.
Awesome.
Yes and yes.
So definitely. So for parents who are staying at home, and I say parents in general because we want this space to be for all parents. So regardless of how you identify, regardless of what your family structure is, we want this to be a place that you feel comfortable coming to. And so for parents who are staying at home, what we've found repeatedly and what we hear from different people who come into the center is that socialization and just connections that they're making with other parents is really helpful for them. Just to know that there's a place that you can go regardless of if you've showered or not, regardless of whatever your parenting philosophy is, regardless of any of those things, that this is a place that you can just walk in and say, here I am in my authentic self. Please give me a cup of coffee or give me a bottle of water. Let me go to the bathroom by myself. Here's a space that I know my child is going to go and be able to be with other kids and to have some fun. And then for the parents to be able to make those connections, because sometimes it can feel so isolating. And I think especially in where we are in the Northeast, as the change in weather starts to happen and that feeling of like, okay, fall feels really good. We start getting really cozy and look, we're going to all like kind of snuggle in together. But then that starts to wear on us, right? And it becomes dark and it becomes, wintry, and it can feel that much more isolating to get out of the house. And so that socialization and connection, I think, is really helpful for people. And also, the things that I hear quite a bit about the center is that parents leave feeling like they have some really concrete and tangible tools to be able to better engage with their kids or their partners or their friends. Because sometimes, again, when you're just so in it and you're just in that survival mode and you're really just trying to get from that day to day, it can be hard to sometimes get out of our own ways. And so sometimes just seeing our children from somebody else's perspective, or learning a skill about how to developmentally, engage with your child, or to help them through those things that they might be struggling with, with anxiety, or with making friends, or finding calm, any of those types of things. So that is my long-winded explanation for some of the many benefits for stay-at-home parents. And to the flip side, for parents who are working, we've really had a lot of people asking specifically about what are some things that we can do because we want to get into the center, or we want to be able to connect. And this right here, this long distance relief, is really a big part of that. Like being able to just know that if you're on your lunch break, or you're just like, taking a very long bathroom break, perhaps, and you can just check in, just to know
We don't
that
do that.
Never.
Mom!
Yeah, because the fingers pry under the door, right? Where did
What
you
are
go?
you doing?
Privacy.
Yeah. Oh, Pilot does that to me now. He's like, shut the door, I need privacy. I'm like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, it goes both ways, right? Reciprocation.
No, mom's privacy is not a thing.
We're trying to work on boundaries for all people,
Yeah.
right? And
So if you are a parent who works and you can't get here during the week, one awesome thing coming up is our open house.
yes.
Did you already talk about the
We
open house?
haven't. No, not
I left
yet.
the room to get creepy baby Nick.
Yes, this is Creepy Baby
Creepy
Nick,
Baby
everyone. He was my very first weighted baby doll that I use for teaching. And so to answer your question about latch and let down in a little bit, we will come back to that. But this is Baby Nick, and we have a number of different babies here that we use.
Creepy in an affectionate way.
An affectionate way. Yes, he looks much cuter with his super cute little penguin outfit. But if we were to remove that, you'd be like,
Yeah.
and I always say to parents, your baby, when you're pregnant, people are always really nervous about like, what's my baby going to look like? What's it going to be like? And I always say, hands down, your baby is going to be cuter than Creepy Baby Nick. So that's a guarantee. But for parents who are working, we also are starting to offer more things coming up with our fall schedule about after school and in the evening. So different, ways for you to connect, and weekend classes as well. So we're going to be doing a lot more, expansion as the months come on.
Yep.
And then towards the end of our hour, we'll kind of circle back to our 1 year open house celebration. So we're kind of made it to our first year, which is really exciting, and it will be a great opportunity for parents to be able to come in and kind of check things out.
It's our third kid's first
It's
birthday.
like my third baby. Yes. So we're going to theme everything as, happy first birthday relief. So why don't you kind of talk about letdown and what you can do for overactive letdown? Because that can be really a big challenge for people.
Yeah, so that's why I brought Creepy Baby Nick. So sometimes with overactive letdown, you have a really forceful release of milk, so your baby can be choking and sputtering, and that may be what's happening for you. So there's a couple of really helpful positions, and one of them is just to be in more of a reclined position and have your baby breastfeeding. This is really awkward.
Facebook Live.
Yeah, Facebook Live. I'm fake breastfeeding baby Nick.
Yeah.
But have your baby on you more like this, as opposed to, in like a typical breastfeeding, what people think is a typical breastfeeding position.
Gravity.
So gravity is huge. So that's one big thing. One of the things you want to remember is breastfeeding is always a supply and demand situation. So if you are, and I'm not saying that you are, but if you're pumping in between feeding, that's going to tell your body you need to produce more milk. So that can lead to a lot of extra milk that maybe you don't need. So maybe you think, and I don't want to put words into your mouth or anything, but maybe you think, okay, I'm going to pump to really build up my supply. And then the next day you wake up and you're like, oh no, what's happening here? Or you have a lot of milk to begin with, so you think, oh, I'll pump some of this out. And that kind of creates a vicious cycle of oversupply. And then you get a forceful letdown because you have all this milk trying to get out of your body, which is very painful and a lot of pressure. I've heard different people using different holds that work for their baby. So I would try definitely the reclined position. Some people find even that football hold works better for them.
Depending on, I was going to jump into with different positions, depending on how old your baby is as well,
Yeah.
or your child, once they have a bit more stability in their neck, one of my favorite positions is sometimes kind of known as crawl, where you basically just, I don't know if you can see me here, but like balance your baby on your knee and sit down. And then that way they have a lot of control as well about like how do they latch and when do they kind of move on and back and forth. And this is where connecting with somebody locally would be really helpful, just to get some visuals as well about, you know, what's your overall supply been like, or how's your baby's weight gain been,
Right.
Because, you know, as much as we can give some good techniques, we also want to make sure that your specific situation is being addressed.
Yeah.
And so knowing who those resources are, feel free to send a private message and we can point you in the direction of people in your location, or again, you're always welcome to come and see us. The other great thing,
I was gonna say, it's so hard because I get that question and I have 5 questions I want to ask so I can tailor my answer to what you need. And that's the hard thing about Facebook Live, is we can't have that immediate back and forth conversation. We can give you some general tips. But you know, it's like, oh, I want to find this person and just like sit down and have a conversation and find out what the actual things that are circumstances that are creating this are in their life, and help them, give them tailored tips for that. And that's something that, you know, I am a CLC, Krista is an advanced CLC. We can actually do home visits. You don't even have to come here, or you can come here and meet with one of us, or we can send you to somebody else in your area, or find you somebody else in your area.
We can also do, again, like a private video chat. So that's sometimes something that I've done in the past as well. As
like
people,
a FaceTime type situation.
Yeah, but not on live TV.
No, you probably don't want to show everyone your breasts on Facebook Live. No.
So we got some other comments coming in, or other questions.
Any tips for nausea while nursing for your 3rd child?
Oh, really good question. Yeah. So if you want to jump on that.
I wore C-bands for the first 3+ months of my pregnancy. And if you don't know what C-bands are, they're little cloth bracelets. You can get them at any like CVS, Rite Aid, and they have a little plastic bead, and they put pressure on a pressure point on your wrists, and it helps with nausea. And that is the only reason I was able to make it into work every day and through my days. Also, there are things called Preggy Pops that you can buy online, and they're hard candies that you suck on that help with the nausea. Those 2 things help me a lot with my nausea.
And Preggy Pops are specific to pregnancy because they have different herbs in them. So some other tips, acupuncture actually can be really helpful as well. And so finding somebody who's trained in acupuncture or acupressure, who can kind of help you to tap into just like kind of regulating your system can be really helpful. Talking with somebody who really can understand and help you kind of balance some of those hormones. And it sounds really surprising too, but sometimes just like a breathing technique. Somebody that when I was really sick, I'm trying to remember who it was. I honestly can't remember, but essentially it's a breathing technique where you breathe in and imagine a square. So like you breathe in for a count of like maybe 4, and you imagine going up, and then you breathe out for 6, and then you breathe in for 4, and then you breathe out for 6. And just kind of imagining that can kind of help, again, slow down your body's response of like, oh, I feel so sick. And just frequent small meals, which sounds like the least appetizing thing sometimes when you're really nauseous, but protein in particular is really helpful to help manage the nausea. And
if you have a toddler, you probably have toddler snacks on you all the time. Throw some extra snacks in there for you.
And sometimes it just might be a matter of like, you don't even really look, you just kind of grab and you're like, okay, I can do this, in just small bits at a time. Again, throw in an emoji or a hands up or something about if anybody else has had that experience about feeling really nauseous in their pregnancy, or if you have any tips that you would want to share that we're forgetting about or haven't mentioned. But yeah, it can be really challenging, and especially when you're trying to manage a toddler or an older child, as they are, when you're just feeling really miserable and
not understanding of your situation.
Yes. So something else that I think is really helpful to remember too is like it's just kind of a one day at a time situation, like
Mhm.
so much in parenting is, right? So if you're feeling particularly nauseous, you kind of have a free pass to do a lot of stuff. So that might be that it's okay to watch an extra show, or it's okay to, sit down and play with that toy that you wouldn't necessarily want them to, or
Mhm.
whatever.
We'll
Just to
write
kind
you
of
a
give
permission slip if you want.
Yes.
If you will, feel free.
Okay.
We will write you one. You can show it to everyone and say, see this? This says I can do what I want.
Yep, free pass for a lot of stuff. And just knowing that, eventually it will pass. But when you're in it, it feels so insurmountable.
Yeah.
Um,
There are some really cool things on like Pinterest and things like that where you can get these like toddler busy bags and put them together with toys that you only pull out certain times. We talk about it a lot with postpartum parents when they're trying to breastfeed with a toddler. It's also great when you're feeling sick when you're pregnant, is you pull out this certain bag of toys or books that they only get when you really need it. And then it's a novelty for them. So they're like, oh, like for me, I have this bucket of Legos that sits in the car. So today we went out to a coffee shop because I was meeting a friend for coffee, and the bucket of Legos came with us. He was there for probably almost 2 hours playing with Legos because he doesn't get to play with them all the time. So he was like, yes, Lego time.
And I have to say that's also a temperament thing, because my two boys, they would love the Legos, and they definitely, especially my older one, is really into Legos right now. But then he's like, oh, Legos. Oh, here's my little brother.
Right.
And all of a sudden the Legos are everywhere. So that's something else, just like temperament wise.
And your child, so it doesn't have to be, it can be whatever, like your kid loves sharks. And you're like, oh, I have a special shark game that we only pull out when mom needs a minute. Whether that be prepping lunch or dinner, or you need to kind of catnap. Working mom, I work nights, and let me tell you, there are times when I'm like, you get to do this right now because I need to just sit here and be half awake because I am gonna fall over. And those things are okay. I think that's something that as parents we feel guilty about a lot, is our needs and understanding that we're human and not superhuman. I know we like to think we are. But when you haven't gotten a lot of sleep, you haven't eaten, you have things you need to do, and you have a little one, you want to be the best parent, obviously. But you still have to take care of things. And it's okay to not dedicate yourself 100% all the time, 24 hours a day to your child. It doesn't make you a bad parent. It makes you a human.
Absolutely.
I do it. She does it. We all do it.
Yep.
We all let our kid watch that extra show. We all let our kid do things that we swore before we had kids. My child will never fill in the blank. Actually, that's good. In the comments.
Yeah.
What was one of those? My child will never fill in what you thought you would never let your child do, but now your child does. Mine is iPad.
Mine was eat in the car. I was always so worried that, like, oh my gosh, because I was a nanny for years. And so I was always, ultra focused on like making sure everybody was safe and things like that. And I was like, gosh, I'm never going to let my kids eat in the car, because what if, they choke or they spill something or whatever.
I was eating popcorn in his car seat yesterday, and I was like not worried about it. But I'm at that point now too, where I'm much more comfortable as a parent. I mean, I remember when he was a baby, not wanting to put down the windows in my car because I was afraid a bee would fly in and sting him, and he would be allergic, and I wouldn't know because he was a baby. And I would, extrapolate that out to my crazy postpartum brain. I mean, it's not crazy though. Those are the fears you have as a new parent. You have these weird thoughts that you're.
And that whole mama bear thing. So like just that I'm going to protect my child. I'm going to protect my family. This is very much like, and that's, it can become so big. And then we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And so that's another thing that Jessica and I really, if you can't tell already, I'm not sure how far we are into our first hour, but
we're a little over halfway, I think, right?
Yeah. So that if you can't tell already, it's something that we really want to highlight is just, it's okay to be authentic. It's okay to just really say, this is where I am right now. This is this snapshot in my moment in my life right now. and I'm feeling awesome, and I feel like I totally rocked it. Like today,
Mhm.
for first day kindergarten drop off, it went so great, and I was like really proud and having one of those mama moments of like, oh, there goes my son, and he's off and running and playing, and he doesn't need me, and that's kind of sad. But at the same time, like, woohoo, we did it.
Yeah.
He's feeling really excited. We'll see how tomorrow goes. But that can look really different. Maybe tomorrow when I'm like, oh, I miss my baby, and he's gone, and he's in kindergarten. So it's okay. We want to be authentic, and I think the more that we can normalize that, it's really hard in social media times, right? Where we have all these perfect Pinterest things, and we've got all of these ideals, and I feel like I hold my hands up all the time. Like, we have these ideals, we have these expectations, and then here's our reality. And it almost never matches up. And when we've got that friction,
and when it does,
there,
you take a picture and you put it on Facebook.
Yes, absolutely. Or you can comment and be like, this was my perfect moment.
Yeah.
But we usually recognize when those things are happening because they're fleeting.
Yeah.
And so when we have those discrepancies and we have that rub, I think that's where so much of our conflict lies. In well, here's the need of my child, and here's my need. And my child wants to play, and I'm dead on my feet, and I'm so tired. What do I do?
Yeah.
And that's such a big part of why we've created this long distance relief, and why we've created the center here, so that we can make some of this friction hopefully a bit less. And the more that we can talk about it, the more that we can be open to be just ourselves and authentic as parents, I'm hoping that will change eventually the greater culture of parenting. Because when I ask parents, when your kids grow up, do you want them feeling how you're feeling right now? Everybody will stop and be like, oh my gosh, no, right? And so modeling that time to take care of yourselves, or to be authentic and share with your children in an age appropriate way, like, yeah, mama's tired right now, I need to lay down, and I need you to be quiet, or yes, you can have this extra thing because I need a break.
Do you remember as a child, because I remember very distinctly growing up and thinking my parents were something other than me. You know what I mean? They, I knew we were all humans, but I really felt like they were on a different level than me. And then when I grew up and I realized my parents had flaws and faults, and kind of got knocked off that pedestal and just became humans, it was kind of heartbreaking and hard for me to reconcile that with myself. And I really think that that's part of the reason why I'm really dedicated to being authentic with my kid, and letting him be himself without trying to, really steer him in directions that's like, I want you to be like this, or I want you to do that. That's,
it's hard to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think that as parents, we want to shield our children from seeing that vulnerability. We don't want them to feel like they're somehow not safe, or that it can be scary. But I think regardless of, where you are, that's where age appropriate stuff is really important. And so,
and if they never see you going through that, then how can they learn coping skills through you? So that's one of the things that is the hardest, is like, okay, I have to model good behavior here. I have to be careful about my choices here and be really mindful of what I'm doing, because my kid's watching me. And so sometimes when I mess up, I talk to Pilot about, that's my son's name, Pilot. I talk to him about how I messed up and what I did wrong, and maybe I should have made a better choice. And maybe that's, me getting frustrated with him, and I'll say, hey buddy, I'm really sorry, but I got really frustrated, and this is why, and this is why I got upset, and kind of talking about his role in it, my role in it, like what he could have done different, what I could have done different. And we have those conversations. I mean, I don't want to say how often we have those conversations, but we have those conversations because they're important. It's important for us to think about our behavior, which is something I don't think I really did a lot growing up, and my parents didn't parent us that way. I don't mean it was the 80s.
Yeah.
It was a totally different
Anybody else an
time.
80s kid?
Yeah.
And
made in the 80s over here.
In the 80s, yep.
Mm-hmm.
But
don't be jealous, guys.
Yeah. Care Bears and stuff are coming back.
Yeah. Rainbow Bright.
Yeah. Really?
I
Oh,
don't
see,
know.
I'm like,
Why not? Bring it back if it's not.
Gem?
Everything.
Anybody
Gem.
else? Yeah. Popples? Okay, we can take
Okay, yeah.
So
We
you
can talk about the
see.
80s a lot. Yeah.
But it is, I think, like the shift in parenting and you know, when we kind of reminisce about like, oh, you know, these golden ages or whatever, parents were struggling with the same issues back in the 80s that they were today. You know, obviously we have different, you know, technology or things like that that we're grappling with, but I think we're all still struggling with the same type of stuff. And the more that we can kind of address those things and hopefully move the ball forward, hopefully by the time that our children are starting to have children, we're in a different, more supported culture around that, because the United States is just really an outlier in a lot of different capacities. And I'm sure we all feel that in a lot of different ways, right? In terms of, you know, paid leave for families and
especially
childcare
fathers and partners.
Absolutely.
You know, moms may get time off, but partners,
no.
My husband happened to have 2 weeks vacation for the entire year that he took after our son was born. And after that, that was it.
If you want to kind of comment about like if you had any time with your partner after the birth of your children, please feel free to share that too. I think it's an important conversation to have, especially again, like when we're talking about parenthood, we want to talk about everybody involved, right? And so we do focus so much on, I feel like the priorities are usually like, here's the baby, and then here's the birthing person, and then here's, you know, maybe the sibling, and then here's the partner. And it's just like,
we're here for you too. We are.
We really are.
Love talking to the partner about what their role is, and especially being there for them when I'm in the home and working with people, because I focus a lot on the mom and baby, sure, but I make sure I don't leave out the partner, because they often have a lot of things they don't feel like they can talk about because they're not going through recovery from birth, breastfeeding issues, feeding issues in general. And that's the other thing too, is we're not just here for breastfeeding, we're here for all feeding. So if you have questions about any of it, please let us know. We can
formula, starting solid foods,
donor milk,
toddler and picky eating.
Oh yeah.
How do you manage if you
allergies,
all of this stuff, all the things.
Yeah, especially if you're one of the biggest people who dairy allergies and they're breastfeeding and they need alternatives. Guess what? I don't do dairy. I can tell you about all the alternatives in the world, and there's some good ones out there.
It's really hard, but that's the thing is like those are some of those things that you wouldn't necessarily anticipate having those situations, and then all of a sudden you're in it, and it's like, well, now what? We want to be the step. We want to be the place to, to say like, hey, we can point you in the direction, and we can't fix it. And that's something that I think is really hard for a lot of people, and for parents in particular, right? We see our struggles for ourselves, we see struggles with our children, and we want to be able to fix it, and we might not necessarily be able to, but we can give you different tools to support you through those different times. And it's all of the things. All the things. Yeah.
We have one mom that's watching while her toddler is in daycare, maybe talking about the care that you guys provide at Relief.
Absolutely. So what really sets us apart as a parenting center is we have a really unique model. I thought for sure the idea had to be out there somewhere, right? Because everybody needs the same things. They're tired and they need different resources, and they need access to be able to get to those resources, right? It doesn't seem that far-fetched, but there isn't any place like that until now. So part of Relief, we have on-premise childcare, and that really allows families to be able to come and access the services that they know that they might need. And so for our, anytime that we're open, we generally have at least 2 childcare workers on staff. And so that means that you can come, you can bring your little ones, you can drop in for $5 per child. So we try and keep it really affordable for people. And then you have to stay on premise. So we're not a place that you can drop off your child and then like go, run to the grocery store or something like that. But you can be here and allow your child to be in a safe spot, engaged with other people, know that they're safe, and then taking those steps kind of slightly away. And we've had several families come, and it's the first time that they've ever really kind of left their child. And so it feels like a
so
huge,
scary the first time. You're like, this is the most important thing in my world. I'm going to trust you.
Yep. And knowing that you can just kind of walk down the hall and close the door and either go and, you know, take a nap, or you can see a mental health therapist, or you can go and meet with a dietitian or a family financial educator, chiropractor,
who's
pelvic
awesome.
floor. I mean, we've got so many different people here, but knowing that your child is safe and they're close enough by so that if they do need you, you're able to check back in, or that one of the childcare workers can say, oh, you know what, I think, you know, baby might be hungry right now, or whatever the situation might be. But what we've generally found, and it's been really nice, is for parents who have been really apprehensive about taking those steps, especially with toddlers who might be kind of in that really nervous phase about like, I don't want to go anywhere without my parent. It's been really encouraging to see that the kids, once they get into the childcare room, generally have such a fun time that they don't want to leave. And so it's really, I think, empowering for a lot of parents as well to know that they can come and they can be with their child or not. And so the on-premise childcare really has been a big game changer and part of the mission about the center in general, so that we're eliminating a lot of those barriers to access to care. So knowing that there's free parking out front, we're easy access to get to from the highway. So regardless of if you're in kind of the North Shore, Massachusetts area, or if you're in Southern Maine, or if you're closer towards the Manchester area in New Hampshire, it's an easy, convenient spot. Because what I really found living, you know, locally is that when I was having my own babies, there was a lot of stuff up towards kind of the Dover, Rochester, New Hampshire area. And there was a lot of stuff in the North Shore, Massachusetts area. But if I was here and I was in the Hampton area, I would have to travel at least a half an hour in either direction. And that was really a barrier for me. It was just too far to get the care that I needed. And so I couldn't go to any La Leche League meetings, and I couldn't go to, you know, the new parent support groups and so on. And so being here and having easy access in the childcare available has been a big part of what I'm wanting to provide for families.
I don't know if you already talked about it, but I did want to mention that we're also here for people during their pregnancy, you know, especially first-time parents who haven't been through it before. If you know anybody out there who's maybe looking for some answers or just looking for a little bit of guidance for what's coming next and want somebody to talk to, please send them our way or send them to this Facebook Live. Again, we're going to be doing it Wednesdays from 12 to 1. So send them here, let them bring their questions here, because I, again, did not prepare for the postpartum like I should have. But I didn't know that then. So
you don't know
we
what
want to be there for everybody in every stage, even if you're, you know, preconception, maybe having trouble conceiving and looking for some guidance there, or you're just thinking about having a baby or having another baby and want somebody to talk to, you know, about that. We're here for all of it, whatever it may be.
I'm really excited because we're going to be incorporating, we had a home birth midwife who had been working at the center who is relocating to another part of the country. So that was sad, but we've got another midwife who's going to be coming into the center, and starting in a few weeks, we're going to be kind of doing some support groups based on the different trimesters. So when you're in that first trimester of pregnancy and you're dealing with those things like, what do I do when I'm nauseous? Or how do I manage going to work? Or what are my resources? Or what are my options for birthing? And so on and so forth. You'll be able to be kind of in a group with families who are in that same stage, and then kind of going into that second trimester and really kind of building that network of support into that third trimester, and thinking about like, what are some of those different comfort measures? We're going to be starting to do some more childbirth education classes, which is really exciting.
Bumps and brunch.
I was just going to say,
once a month, we're going to be doing a bumps and brunch group for people, pregnant people.
Yep.
How do I say this? Pregnant people.
Yep.
And we're going to have a little brunch. And there's going to be some postpartum doulas there to talk to. And so you can kind of talk to connect with other pregnant people in the area, some professionals to answer some questions and get some tips, and just kind of a really relaxed, informal way to
just to meet and just to get to know kind of what the different services are available out there, and to get to know the different personalities of people, because that's a really important factor as well when people are thinking about, you know, setting up what your ideal, you know, birthing experience is like, or what your ideal postpartum experience is like. I think we focus so much on ourselves and our partners perhaps, or the immediacy, but there's so many other people who are involved that you might not have been kind of giving thought to.
Mm-hmm.
And so knowing that those people can have a very direct impact on what your experience is like is really important to consider. So having an opportunity again at our Brunch and Bumps, our first one is going to be on September 21st. From 9 to 10, it's going to be, again, an opportunity to meet with the different postpartum doulas, with our midwife, with our childbirth educator, just to find out some more information and to start to build that network for yourself. And then immediately following is going to be our first year birthday, which is really exciting. Yay. So that will essentially be just a giant open house. And we're going to be sending out some more information on our website. If you haven't already signed up for our newsletter, you can go to our website at reliefparenting.com. And on the bottom of our home screen there's a place for you to enter your email. And so you can sign up for our newsletter and you get like kind of first access to our classes, different discounts, different events that are going to be happening in the area, so you stay really connected. But September 21st is going to be a really special day here at Relief. And so speaking to, again, like we want to be here from preconception through pregnancy, right up on through.
And one of the things I wanted to talk about also was the story sharing circle that we're going to be having called Holding Space. So that is going to be a place for people to come and share their story, whatever it may be, whether it be your birth story, your conception, your something about your pregnancy, or something completely different.
Just your parenting moment.
Yeah, non-judgmental space to say those things out loud or share your story with people who aren't going to ask intrusive questions of you or judge you or, just look at you sideways. And I think there can be a lot of guilt around things when they don't go the way you expected them or the right way or whatever that is. Like for me, it was the birth of my son. I had so much guilt over agreeing to finally have a cesarean and the way that all happened. And my son is about 4.5, and I have just started to become okay with what happened. It has taken me that long, and I've been very open about that, and I'm very open about my story, but that's because I want people to feel comfortable being able to share their story with me, and I'm going to be co-hosting that meeting or meetup or whatever you want to call it with another person here at Relief. And I think that those moments where you can be really authentic and be vulnerable and not have that fear of your coworkers or your family inserting their opinions into it or their thoughts is really helpful. I went to a meeting similar to that, and just hearing I didn't share my story, but hearing other people's stories and just hearing them not hold back was really freeing for me to say like, oh, I don't have to pretend to be perfect at this. I don't have to. And that's the biggest thing with Relief Parenting is just be authentic, be you, and be messy about it, and show up with your eyeliner from yesterday.
If you even made eyeliner on.
If you put eyeliner on at all, but it's fine. There's often days where I'm wearing yesterday's eyeliner.
One of my favorite moments from the last year or so actually was there was a group of moms who were all kind of in the front lobby, and I was commenting on how great somebody their hair was looking or something like that, and they're like, oh, I didn't shower, and then everybody echoed like, oh, I didn't shower today either, and I was like, I didn't today either, it's all good. And just but to know that you can show up in your sweatpants or your whatever it is,
you can be leaking, we don't care,
it's all good. You can come in with a trail full of goldfish crackers and an iPhone in your hand and whatever,
and your messy bun and your Starbucks.
It's all good.
Have you seen that thing going around? It's like a girl's Halloween costume, and it's like a mom, and she's wearing leggings, and she's got a Starbucks cup and a baby and a messy bun and her eyeliners. I'll have to find it and post it in the comments.
Nice.
Spot on.
Yes. We're going to be having a Halloween party here in October, and I'm really excited about that too. So it'll be just specifically for little ones.
I don't think we can come as moms trying to make it, because that's just us. We look like we got it together right now, but we knew we were doing this.
Yeah.
So,
It's all good.
yeah.
But yeah, I hope that, what you're taking away from all of this is that we've spent a lot of time today kind of talking about the center, talking about why hopefully you feel like you can trust us enough to kind of come here, be a resource for you, to be able to answer some of your questions or concerns, to share a bit more about kind of what's going on here at the center and in our community. But as the weeks go on, we really hope that we're going to be able to kind of learn more about each of you and what's important to you as a parent and how we can support you. So again, we really would love for you to be engaged, to comment below.
Mhm.
We're going to put out a post again, kind of for next week, just calling for different topics that you'd like us to give more information on. And again, you're welcome to always send a private message to our Relief Parenting page, or you can send us an email from info@reliefparenting.com.
Even if your question seems like, oh, this might be silly, or you think somebody else might have asked it already, or whatever it is, ask it. We want your questions. We get excited when we feel like we've helped somebody. We are like,
Yeah.
again, we talked about the happy dance. Like, we get
Totally.
really excited when we helped somebody. We did it.
Mhm.
We were doulas. So please help us. You know what? Bring us some happiness, guys. Come on.
No pressure. Oh,
So we have like 3 minutes left. So if you want to maybe talk about some of the things, I know we talked a lot about the things coming up in Relief, but if you want to just like do a quick list, and if anybody has a last minute question that they want to
Yeah.
throw in the comments.
Yeah, so next week obviously we'll be here, same time, same place. So
Mhm.
every Wednesday from 12 to 1 we will be doing Facebook Live, and like I said, we'll be kind of tailoring things to the questions or the comments that each of you may have. But at the center we always have a number of different things going. This week is our first week of our fall schedule, so as I said, we have a lot more classes geared towards kind of older school age children. We have more things for preteens. So our kids yoga class is going to be offered on the weekends, which is really exciting now that school's in session. So on Sundays, there's a kids yoga class and a preteen yoga class, which is great. We have different exercise classes. We've got our new Sing, Sign, and Play and Tummy and Mummy Time classes, which are exciting.
Can I interject something?
Please do.
I think most, if not all, of the classes are also drop-in.
Mhm.
So while you can sign up way in advance and all of that, it's also nice to be one of those places where if you're not going to make it, you're not losing out. So you didn't pay for like a 6-week session and now
Right.
you're not going to get to go to these classes. It's always a good idea to call and check in and make sure there hasn't been any last minute changes, or check online or on Facebook.
Mhm.
But it's so hard when you're like, oh, I signed up for this thing and I paid for it, and now my kid's been sick 2 out of the 5 times we were supposed to go, and I kind of paid all this money and now we're not doing it, or I just can't make it today, or whatever it is.
Yeah. We try to be
Designed
flexible.
by parents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Basically, the litmus test is if I want it, or if I think that anybody else may want it, it's here because we want to be here for you. So please visit the website. It's reliefparenting.com. All of our classes, our fall schedule is up. And it was great to share this first Facebook Live with all of you. We're really excited to bring relief to you and in whatever capacity that might be. And we hope we'll see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.